Separate and apart from people telling us sometimes we are failures or we'll never be able to advance to certain parts of our journey. I'm also convinced that um, like life in its completion is like war. Like you're always fighting some battle. Like the moment that we were born into a situation where it is very important that we have some level of tenacity, determination, conviction, and commitment, fortitude, and that have to be built over time. It also built by the parental and community situations that we find ourselves in. It's built by the love that we encounter, and of course, it's totally what our roots are laid in. Like you have plants that are in different places. Um, you know, uh, we have rocky areas where it is very dry, and you have valley areas that it's kind of wet. So and the plant and the soil is very deep, so the roots go deep, and so they have access to various type of nutrients and so forth, so on. And I think that it's the same way that our life, um, the quality of our output has a lot to do with what we have access to, our input, the amount of input that we have access to. And it has a lot to do with the philosophy, how true the philosophy that we get from our parents, from our peers, from our friends, our community base, so forth, so on. Right. And also the culture that we live in, like for example, country. It has a lot to do with that also. So and then we are blessed to be observers also. Like, oh, suppose I thought that my environment is the best, and then when I look across, um, and though they always say the grass is always seem greener on the other side, but sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. For true, like really for true, the grass is greener on the other side. But there are ways to make the grass greener on your side without even going on the other side. Um, it has to do with the philosophy, the teaching, the wisdom that is there on the other side, and thus the blessing of books. Book that inspire me the most is the Bible for sure. Um, and the wisdom that is in it. So we are able to flourish independent of what anybody say, primarily on what we absorb. Funny enough, the roots of plants are beneath them, but the root of men is in our uppermost part, which is our mind. And primarily, all of the senses and the faculties that we use to absorb information tend to be on our head, primarily. Our mouth for tasting, our nose for smelling, our eyes for seeing, our ears for hearing, you know. And of course, we feel, beyond our face and different parts of our body, but primarily, most of the faculties that are responsible for us being receptors or roots per se of absorption happens up here, and we are like really, really blessed to have that, but we have to be very careful of what we absorb and what we take in, and I think that will determine the overall quality of our life, um, not just in experience, because life happens to everybody, rich, poor, indifferent. Life happens. Rainfall, the sunshine, hurricane comes. People lose loved ones. Various degrees of things happen. Life happen, but separate and apart from the happenings of life, there's a large degree of our life experience that has a lot to do with our um response to life, more so than the even happenings of life. And I think what our roots absorb, the root of the eye, the root of the nose, the root of the mouth, the root of the ear, which all of these bring information to the mind or the brain, as we may call it, has a lot to do with how we respond to life's experience. Blessing.